He was a wanted murderer. He was also the greatest painter in Rome. For 4 years he ran Naples, Malta, Sicily, Naples again. And the whole time, cardinals and princes were fighting over his canvases. Then he vanished on a beach, and history quietly erased him. He was born Michelangelo Merisi on the 29th of September, 1571 in Milan. His family came from a small town in Lombardy called Caravaggio, and that is the name history gave him. His father, Fermo, was a steward and a builder for the local marquis. A respectable job, a comfortable childhood. Then, in 1576, the plague came to Milan. The family fled to the countryside. A year later, in a single day, Caravaggio lost his father, his grandfather, and his uncle. He was 6 years old. He grew up among women, his mother, his aunt, his sister, in the shadow of a disease that had taken half the city. At 13, he was apprenticed to a painter in Milan called Simone Peterzano, a former student of Titian. For 4 years he learned the old methods: grinding pigment, stretching canvas, copying. By 20, he was in Rome, alone, broke. He took whatever work he could get. For a while, he painted flowers and fruit in the corners of other men's paintings, in the workshop of a fashionable artist named Giuseppe Cesari. He slept where he could. He ate when he could. One early biographer says he was so poor he fell sick and almost died in a charity hospital. What he did in that hospital, nobody recorded. But when he came out, he started painting differently. He used real people, street boys, prostitutes, card sharps he knew from the taverns. He painted them life-size, lit by a hard raking light, against backgrounds of pure black. No idealized faces, no classical poses, just people, dirty fingernails, bad teeth, real. In 1595, a cardinal noticed him. Francesco Maria del Monte was one of the most powerful patrons in Rome, cultured, curious, willing to take a risk. He took Caravaggio into his palace, gave him a room, gave him commissions, and then, in 1600, came the work that changed European painting: the Contarelli Chapel, in the French church of San Luigi dei Francesi. 3 enormous canvases about St. Matthew. The centerpiece, the Calling of St. Matthew, shows a tax collector at a dirty table counting coins. Christ enters from the right, barely visible. A shaft of light cuts across the wall, and the men at the table look exactly like men you would meet in a Roman tavern that same evening. Rome had never seen anything like it. Crowds came to argue in front of the paintings. Young artists copied him immediately. Within a year, every important commission in the city wanted a Caravaggio. But the man himself was unraveling. The Roman police archives still exist, and his name appears in them constantly. Carrying a sword without a permit, brawling with a notary, throwing a plate of artichokes in a waiter's face. There is a sworn witness statement from 1604 describing exactly this. He was arrested, released, arrested again. He had powerful protectors, and they kept getting him out. He also had enemies. One of them was a young man from a well-connected Roman family, Ranuccio Tommasoni. On the 29th of May, 1606, the two men met with their supporters on a field near the Campo Marzio. Officially, it was a duel over a wager on a tennis match. More recent research suggests it was something uglier, a fight over a woman or over gang territory or both. What is certain is this: Caravaggio ran Tommasoni through with a sword, and Tommasoni bled to death. A warrant was issued within days. Not a normal warrant, a bando capitale, a death sentence. Any citizen of the Papal States could now kill Caravaggio on sight and claim a reward. He left Rome that night. He would never return. He went first to the hills outside the city, to the estate of a noble family that sheltered him. Then, when it was clear no pardon was coming, he went south, to Naples. Naples in 1606 was the largest city in Italy. Loud, violent, Spanish-ruled. Nobody cared about Roman warrants. Within months, Caravaggio was the most sought-after painter in the city. He produced one masterpiece after another, the 7 works of mercy, the flagellation, at a speed that still seems impossible. But he wanted a pardon, and for that he needed a grand gesture. In the summer of 1607 he sailed to Malta. The island was ruled by the Knights of St. John, a crusader order, half monastery, half navy, answerable only to the Pope. If Caravaggio could be admitted into the order, the knighthood itself would be a kind of legal shield. He painted a portrait of the Grand Master, Alof de Wignacourt, in full armor. He painted the enormous beheading of St. John the Baptist for the Knights' Co-Cathedral, the only painting he ever signed, in the red of the saint's blood. In July 1608 he was knighted. Within 6 weeks he was in a prison cell. There had been another brawl. A knight was seriously wounded. Caravaggio was arrested, locked in the rock-cut dungeon of Fort St. Angelo, and somehow, nobody knows exactly how, he escaped, down a cliff, into a boat, gone. The knights met in solemn assembly and expelled him from the order. The phrase in the record is tamquam membrum putridum et foetidum, as a rotten and stinking limb. He ran to Sicily, Syracuse, Messina, Palermo. In each city he painted 1 or 2 huge altarpieces and then moved on, looking over his shoulder. Witnesses said he now slept with his clothes on, with his dagger beside him. By the autumn of 1609 he was back in Naples, and one night, at the door of a tavern called the Osteria del Ceriglio, several men were waiting for him. They cut his face so badly that the rumor reached Rome that he was already dead. He survived, but he was never the same. He spent the next 9 months painting and waiting. His Roman patrons, including the Pope's own nephew, Cardinal Scipione Borghese, were finally close to securing a pardon. In July of 1610, he boarded a small boat with 3 of his last paintings on board, heading north to collect it. The boat put in at Palo, a Spanish garrison port near Rome. Something went wrong. He was briefly arrested, and the boat, with his paintings, sailed on without him. When he was released, he followed overland, up the Tuscan coast, to Porto Ercole. By the time he reached Porto Ercole, he was feverish and alone. Tradition says he was found dying on the beach. More recent archival work suggests he made it to the local hospital. Either way, he died on the 18th of July 1610. He was 38. The cause of death is still argued. Forensic work on bones believed to be his, published in 2010, pointed to lead poisoning from years of handling his own paints. A later study, in 2018, proposed something different: sepsis from Staphylococcus aureus, probably entering through an infected sword wound from the Naples attack. Some historians think he was simply murdered, and the story tidied up afterwards. The exact truth is lost. And then, something strange happened. His paintings kept hanging in the greatest churches in Italy, but the name, Caravaggio, began to fade. Within 2 generations, the academies were teaching that he had been a dangerous influence, a vulgarian, a painter who, as the French master Nicolas Poussin is reported to have said, had come into the world to destroy painting. For 300 years he was a footnote. Tourists walked past his canvases without knowing who had made them. It was not until 1951, in a single exhibition in Milan, organized by the Italian art historian Roberto Longhi, that the world looked at him properly again, and understood. He had painted saints with dirty feet. He had painted Christ as a carpenter. He had killed a man with a sword and died alone on a beach. And he had, very quietly, invented the way every painting, every photograph, every film would light a human face for the next 400 years. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe for more.